Hi everyone, good to see you. I'm just trying to put the messenger thing on so it's live and interactive as well, but it's not happening. So I'm going to just abandon that for today and just go with Facebook Live. Let's just have a quick look behind the camera. Looking good. So as you see, I'm in the new space to when I was teaching online during lockdown 1. I've cleared the bedroom space, which is just a little bit more cosy. Hopefully I can keep the dog out. Sorry Alfie, I know you'll be watching just so that you can see Jed, but he's slightly distracting. Anyway, I hope everyone is well today. First day in the UK of lockdown 2. Beautiful, beautiful skies today, blue skies. Chilly morning, feels like we're really going into winter. But we're not going to do a super warming class. That is the dog. You might be able to see his nose coming in the window, in the door. You go away, you're not allowed in. So I thought we would ease ourselves into online classes with a little sequence that I've done for lower back stiffness. Nothing that none of you have not done before. All nice and straightforward. Because we just want to, you know, just come back to working by ourselves without sort of feeling like Marie's going to put us through anything crazy like we've been doing in classes for the last couple of weeks. So let's just start seated. So just find a nice comfortable seated pose, and you know, if you've got a dodgy knee and you need to have that leg out a little bit more, do so. And we'll circle around. Just gently warming up the spine here. And then in the other direction. Start to get your shoulders into it as well. Okay, and maybe try something like a figure of 8. It's really moving these shoulders around too. Good. So let's just come forward. So sitting cross-legged, if that is comfortable for you, just bring your hands forward, stretching forward on your fingertips, stretching out the top of the back and the shoulders, keeping the sitting bones on the floor. You'll have noticed that I'm sitting on a block, or I'm just perching on the front of a block actually. It's just to get my hips up and forwards. Inhaling and exhaling. Maybe going a little further forwards, and then walking around to the left. I have to say, it's so much nicer being on my new clean carpet than it is on a dusty, grubby church hall floor. But I do miss having people in the room with me. Stretching out there. Again, focusing on the breath. I think it's actually quite a lot easier to think about the breath when it's just you in the room. You haven't got loads else going through your head, walking back into the centre, just stretching forward for a tad, and then over to the other side. So you see, I'm keeping my head fairly low, but I'm keeping both my sitting bones on the floor. Temptation is, I'm exaggerating here, but to raise the opposite buttock. Good. Coming back up. Let's just do some work on the head and neck. So let's think first of all about the posture. So the chin is tucked in, so you've got double chin going on. Goodness knows what it'll be like in a month's time. Ears, shoulders, hips, all in alignment here. So let's just sit, hands on knees, either hands open or hands down or hands in the lap, whatever feels comfortable for you. And close the eyes and inhale and exhale, being aware of your posture. That chin tucks in means that the back of your head is pulling up as if it's on a string. Thinking about these shoulders, maybe roll the shoulders up and round a couple of times, and you'll know what I talk about. It's a Pilates thing, but getting those shoulder blades as if they're coming down into your back pockets. So you've got a degree of tension here in holding your posture, well. And hopefully the hips are coming nicely forwards. Breathing in and out. And let's think about the breath coming all the way in. That's a 3 or 4 part yoga breath. So we often think about it coming into the belly, so let's focus on that. So the belly rising, expanding like a balloon as you inhale. And then coming back towards the spine, the belly button towards the spine when you exhale. But let's also think about the breath coming in and out of the side ribs. So my belly is still coming up and down, but I'm also breathing in and out through the side ribs. And think as well about breathing into this chest area at the top and into the back. So you're breathing into all 4 parts of this sort of torso area. And you know, if this whole lockdown thing is stressing you out, what's going on in the body is you're getting that fight and flight response. So your adrenal glands are starting to kind of kick adrenaline out and you're feeling that low level stress. So if we want to move away from that fight and flight response and to get into a completely different space inside, just take some deep breaths. Focus on expanding those areas and the magic happens and the adrenaline levels go down. And you turn on what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. So you can Google that, look that up if you want to know more about it. But just the act of breathing deeply turns on that parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of that fight and flight. So we call it rest and revive, I think, or rest and digest, that's it. So hopefully we're feeling a little bit more chilled now. We can do some work with our neck. So taking the head, and I'm going to mirror you, so you're going to look over to the left. The chin is still fairly tucked. I've still got my shoulder blades coming down towards my back pocket, so I've got a stretch coming down the right hand side of the neck. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and then exhale to the centre. Inhale again. And exhale to the other side. So you're now looking over your right shoulder. Inhale and exhale back to the centre. Inhale. And exhale your chin down to your chest. So probably starting to feel something across the, along the spine, the top of the shoulders. Sometimes I find this is really tight for me, other times it's a lot easier. So just notice where you're at today. Inhaling and exhaling, maybe going a little deeper on the exhale. And then taking the chin and keeping that really low, and we're just going to roll that chin up towards the left, so that that chin is kind of coming into that left shoulder, so it's a slightly different stretch. And notice if you're feeling this in your spine at all. It's fine, just notice. Exhale back down to the centre. Taking another inhale here. And exhale round to the right shoulder, looking down towards the mat. Interesting how I'm sitting with one hand up and one hand down. It's all very yin-yang. Maybe that's kind of how I'm feeling today. Kind of this. I'm quite looking forward to some lockdown actually, but that's not going out. Just walking the dog. Okay, rolling the chin down. And this time we're going to interlace the fingers in front of us and then push the palms away, stretching away, really tucking that chin down, starting to curve the back. So you're starting to bring a little bit more curve into the middle back. And then bringing the hands up Looking initially in front of you and working on the hands coming up and tall. Inhaling, think about, so I was starting to lean back, so just being aware of your posture here. And it's as if someone's pulling up on your wrists and sitting down or standing on your shoulders. And then if you want to take the steeple grip with your fingers like this, you can perhaps take the hands a little further back, and you might want to look up towards the hands, not too far. Be careful of your neck. Keep breathing and bringing the hands down. Good, so let's roll the shoulders again. Taking your left hand down onto the mat, inhaling the right hand up, and then exhaling into a side bend, looking under that raised arm. So I'm keeping both the sitting bones on the floor here. So some of you may be down on your elbows on that left hand. It's not a problem if you're not. And if I'm thinking about that sort of slice of toast thing or a pane of glass in front and behind, I'm not leaning forwards or back. Okay, inhale the hand up and exhale down. Let's just gather ourselves, inhaling the left hand up and then exhaling into the side bend on the other side. And just notice those little things that are going on in the body. Notice where it's tight. And what I'm doing with my head and neck is I'm just following the natural kind of shape of where my spine is going. So I'm not kind of countering it. It's just in a nice little curved shape. Maybe going a little lower if the soft tissue has relaxed a little bit more. Good. Inhaling up and come back down. All right, let's just take the feet the other way, because we tend to cross our legs in a favoured way. And if this feels right for you, come back on your hands, either your fists or your palms, lifting the hips up, just circling the hips around in one direction and then the other, and then pushing them up, opening the chest up, perhaps taking the head back. Opening that chest a little further. Hips a little higher, little hips flexor stretch here, and coming back down. Good, alright, let's take the block away if you've been using a block, and come onto your backs. So I'm a bit hemmed in by my wardrobe. The camera's at the far end of the room, it's not the biggest room. But what I'm wanting you to do is put your feet in front of your buttocks and just bend those knees or fold those knees over to one side and then lift them up and fold them over to the other side. And what we're doing with the breath is we're inhaling to the centre and exhaling down. And you'll see that my head is moving nice and gently in the opposite direction. So inhale up to the centre. Exhale, knees down. Next time you're up into the centre, let's take it down to the right and hold them down and look across your left arm. Inhaling back up to the centre, and we'll go down to the other side. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Inhaling back up to the centre. Picking up the right knee, letting the left leg come straight down in front of you. Gosh, I'm right up next to the wall there. Teaching in a new space. Bringing the knee in as you exhale, inhaling the knee out again. So move that knee around, well I'm moving around the hip joint really, aren't I? So moving in and out, just gently squeezing and hold it in to any place that it feels particularly tight. So for me, this is normally when it's coming, my knee is coming in towards my neck. Trying to keep the shoulders down and reasonably relaxed, although of course you're sort of putting some pressure on the knee. And you may want to just circle that right foot in one direction and then circle it in the other, and point and flex the foot. Good. Let's circle that knee around. You might want to go slightly bigger on the circles, in which case you probably need to take the hand off the knee. And then circle in the other direction. Good. Hugging that in towards you again. And this time I want you to take your left hand over the knee, the right hand comes out to the side, and we pull the knee gently down, keeping the right shoulder on the floor. So don't go all the way to the floor with that knee if the shoulder is coming off the floor. One of the things that can be very helpful at this point is to employ a block. And I would recommend, if you're if you're planning on doing a few yoga classes at home in the next month, that you get yourself a couple of blocks. They sell them in, oh gosh, where are you going to be able to get them from when it's essential items only? The bigger supermarkets would have them, and you can get them online, of course, Amazon, eBay. With eBay, they often come from China, so you obviously want to get something you can get hold of quickly. There's nothing quite like a block. You can obviously use pillows, but there's so often I want the sort of solidity of a block. You could use some books and things, but they're a few pounds. Get a couple of blocks. Good. Okay, bringing that knee back, and let's switch around. I'm just going to move around a little bit and pick the left knee up, and again start this process of exhaling the knee in towards the body, inhaling it away. Holding it into wherever space is feeling a little bit tight. Holding it across the body a little bit maybe. And then taking the left hand onto the kneecap, circling round, and perhaps going a little bit wider with those circles. And then you can move in the opposite direction as well. Clunk, 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 go my hips. Good. Picking that left knee up and dropping that down over to the right. And again, if you want to use a block, you can do so. But see how this left shoulder is staying on the ground. Just go with wherever's comfortable for you. This is quite tight for me, my lower right back, because that's where my back is quite damaged. So I'm not going as low with this knee. You need to be aware of your body and not work through pain. It's one thing to find your edge and push on the edge a little, but not going beyond where you should. Good. Let's hug that knee in towards you a little. And taking the feet in front of the buttocks, we'll do some work in bridge now. So hands generally flat on the floor, but you can have them palms up if you would like. Feet quite close to the butt. And if you're a woman with a bungee, I don't think any guys I teach wear bungees. I just make sure that that's above your head, or I've injured myself before with with lying on my bungee. That's what I'm saying. So just be careful about that. Is bungee the right word? You know what I mean. The trials of long hair. Right. Starting to do a little bit of pelvic rocking here. So I'm just putting weight into the heels, letting the knees come forwards and the hips start to rock a little. And again, being aware of the breath. so you can do this really nice and slowly and rock up, inhaling and rock down, exhaling, or go a little bit faster than that, but just breathing quite mindfully. And then as you start to feel a little bit looser there, you can start putting a little bit more weight into those heels and let the hips come up a little bit further. I like to do this really gradually, sort of almost thinking about it one vertebrae at a time. And can you see how I'm sort of curling my spine into the floor? So it is going one vertebrae at a time, and then I'm going in the other direction, so I'm getting a bit more of an S shape in the spine here. And gradually, when you're in your full lift, the hips are quite high. And you can, if it feels right for you, you can keep going up and down. If you want to hold in that lift, you can do so. You may find that you want to bring the feet a little bit closer to the butt. Lifting those hips nice and high. Bringing them down again. It's really good for the lower back. And then we're bringing the hands up. Inhaling the hands up and over. Exhaling the hands back down again. So you can carry on with that if you'd like. If you want to do a little bit more work here, we may want to look at a raised leg bridge, let's call it that. So you come up into your standard bridge, and then you pick one leg up, putting it out in front of you, trying to keep those hips nice and high, or the foot up. Because of my back, I can't hold this for very long, so don't just come down just because I have. It's not something that's terribly easy for me, and I don't want to push it. Hips as high as you can. Okay, coming back down into a little bit of a rest, perhaps doing some pelvic rocks there if you want, and then coming up again and doing the other side, seeing how that feels. Again, I'm not going to push it too much for me, but I'm just going to leave you to do that for a few moments. And then something we've been working on in bridge in class in the last few days is coming up into your bridge, picking your right foot up and putting your right foot on that left knee, and then lifting those hips nice and high again. Dropping back down, switching round. So before you pick the foot up, you come up into your bridge, left foot up, over right knee, hips nice and high. Hold it for as long as you like, and then come back down. My hamstrings are starting to want to pull because they've not been terribly warmed up, so don't let them pull. Just come back and down, do some pelvic tilts if need be. Good. One more thing to do lying on our backs here. We're going to have this is a Pilates tabletop, so with the shins parallel to the floor, and we're just going to do some toe taps and heel taps. So I think all of you that I normally teach are fine with this sort of double tabletop. If not, just have one foot on the ground and do a few on one leg and then a few on the other leg. But I think you're all good to be doing, working like this. Heel taps, toe taps. And if you want to take the legs a little bit further out, immediately you'll start to feel a little bit more work. I'm just doing heel taps now, a little bit more work on the abs, because you've made the levers, your legs, a lot longer, and you may feel that your hip flexors are starting to kick in as well. But just work to however is comfortable for you. Bring the knees in towards the body, just hug them in, roll a little to left and right, just massaging yourself. If you want to roll a little bit further, feel free. Good. And we're going to bring ourselves up. So taking the hands underneath the small of the back, straightening the legs, and using the hands to help push you up. Really nice way of getting up here. Okay, let's come on to all fours. So we haven't done cat and cow a lot in class recently, which is unusual for me because you know I'm a fan of cat-cow. So let's come into our cat-cow position, knees under hips, hands under shoulders, shoulder width apart, hip width apart. All right. So we are thinking about the tailbone and the chin here. So let's first of all let the tailbone come up and let the chin rise up. So I'm looking sort of through my eyebrow centre. Inhale here, and then exhale, chin down, tailbone coming through as if you've got a tail that's sweeping between your knees. And I'm raising the back up here, pushing away with my hands. Inhale into your cow. Exhale into your cat. So being really mindful of breath here, pushing those shoulders up and away, shoulder bones, blades going back to your hips, and then in the cat you're really opening up the shoulders, pushing the hands into the ground, tucking that tailbone under. Good, hopefully that's feeling nice for you. Let's do our little flow that I love so much. So we'll start in extended child. So let's take a little bit of a break here. Hands, I quite like to do namaste, hands behind the head. I find it a very grounding pose. Being aware of the breath in this particular pose. Letting your bottom sink back towards your heels. This is uncomfortable on the knees. You can put a block or a rolled up blanket in here. I'm just going to come up onto my toes because I've got cramp in my feet. Because my feet are cold because this room is a little chilly. Good, okay, so bring the knees a little bit further together. I've just realised I've got my jumper on, back to front. I got up early this morning. Anyway, right, we are back in an extended child, so let's just stretch these hands out in front of us. Good. So we're coming up into our cat. My hands are stretched out in front, so you may need to move them a little bit further forward, but probably not if they were stretched out. And then you're dropping the hips down, and we're looking up. So we're into this hanging cobra now. Inhale here, come back into your extended child. I'm tucking my toes under at this point, raising my fingers towards the ceiling. Good, dropping back, then up through your cat. And dropping the hips down, toes flat on the ground this time. Toenails on the ground. As you come up, tuck the toes and fingertips to the sky. So the practice we're doing today is just a really nice simple home practice that you should be able to write these elements down and put them on a little practice sheet, and you can do these without my help. I'd give you the lesson plan, but of course I've completely gone off piste and I'm making it up as I go along rather than having the thing that I wrote down previously. There's plenty of lesson plans in the standard Facebook group. Good. Coming back onto your knees. Lovely. So let's, this shirt is just driving me mad. Let's take this off. Right. Slightly chilly. Okay. little clothing intermission there. Let's come back onto all fours now. Let's get our positioning nice. Okay, so a nice neutral spine here. And we'll take the right hand out and the left hand back. Gosh, it's come a little bit further forwards. So we're in this Superman pose. So my left toe is pointing towards the floor, my right hand is stretching out in front of me. Inhale and exhale. So hopefully I'm completely parallel with the floor. I haven't got a mirror, so I'm not sure. Hope it feels okay though. Shoulders relaxed and back. That toe needs to be pointed down towards the floor, otherwise you're likely to have twisted your hips. Okay, coming back into all fours. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and then exhale the left hand out, right foot out. And coming back to all fours. This time I want you to take your right foot out and have it going along the back of the mat. So you're kind of up on your toes, pushing the heel back and coming into a little bit of a hamstring stretch here. Inhaling and exhaling. And then crossing that foot over the left leg, pushing it back and then looking over the left shoulder. I'm colliding here with one of my blocks. Just stretching out on the right side of the body. Good. Coming back into your standard tabletop, and then your left foot goes back. So I'm stretching out the back hamstring on the left leg. Left heel is going back towards the wall, and then crossing that over to the side, looking over my right shoulder. Good. Coming back. Let's make our way up to standing now. So I quite like to do this through a squat. So coming up onto your toes. And let's take a little balance here. Hands to namaste. Ears above shoulders, above hips. Okay, so we're going to go up through the elevator pose, trying to go up as slowly as you possibly can, and trying to keep your shoulders nice and high because the temptation is to lean forwards. Obviously, if you need to hold on to something, do so. Nice and slow, 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 keeping your heels up if you can. Heels up, heels up. Heels up, stretching really tall. And the hands coming down. Good. So we're into standing. Feet, I would suggest hip width apart. Make sure that those feet are parallel. That's one of the things that I correct in class quite a lot for people. Shoulders rolled, forwards and back, hands to the sides. Inhaling and exhaling. Make sure those shoulders are back down into the back pockets. So we're going to do a side bend here. So the left hand is going to come up, the right hand is going to come down. We exhale deeply into that side bend and we look under the raised arm. Maybe going a little lower. Inhaling up, bringing that hand down. Inhale the other hand up and drop down to the side, looking under the raised arm. Inhaling up. Let's pick up the right knee or the left knee if you want to mirror me. Tuck that in towards the chest. Standing nice and tall. Seeing how this balance is going for you. Okay, if that's feeling good, you can take that leg, that knee across the body, opening out the chest with the other hand, and perhaps looking over to that right hand. I'm on a really squishy carpet with deep underlay and then my mat. These balances are really quite challenging. Okay, coming back down with control if you can, depending on how your carpet is underneath you. Inhaling that knee up and tuck it in. Get your posture, get your balance. Inhale, and then that knee comes across the body, other hand out, stretching, opening out the chest, looking back at that back hand, Coming back down now. Let's try some cat-cows in a standing pose. So slightly bend the knees, hands on the tops of the legs if you'd like, and we'll just wave-like form with the spine. We do some cat-cows in standing. Inhaling as the chest comes out, exhaling as the chin comes down. Last one, let's hold in your cow pose and hold in your cat pose. Good. Now roll yourself up again. Okay, we're going to take some squats. So feet, I'd suggest maybe a little bit more than hip width apart. Hands out in front. Make sure that your toes, your feet are nice and parallel. So they could almost be a little bit pigeon toed so that your feet are parallel with the short edge of the mat. And we're sitting back. Shoulders relaxed and back into this squat. So you're leaning back as far back as you possibly can. Temptation is to sit really far forwards. Obviously a weightlifter's squat would, they'd be a lot further back than I'm able to do. Just be aware I've got dodgy back issues, so I'm not the best to demonstrate this. Okay, coming back up again. Good. We'll take some lunges. You know I love my lunges. So what we're working on with lunges is particularly working on the hip flexors here. So standing at the back of the mat, inhaling, and then exhale yourself into a nice step forwards and drop down. Maybe wriggle that front foot forward so that the knee is above the ankle and I can still see my toes. And that knee should be tracking to go over the toes rather than in or out. So you're probably feeling this in the left hip flexor. Let's bring the hands up. Shoulders relaxed and back. Looking right forwards. Keeping low. Good. We're going to take a twist now. So the left hand is going to come over the right knee, but we'll do it on an exhale. So inhale, lots of space in the vertebrae, and exhale into the twist. The right hand comes around the back, looking over the right shoulder, staying nice and low. Good. Inhaling the hands back up again, and down and step forwards. So that's one static lunge on the right. Step the right foot back, so we're taking the static lunge on the left, coming nice and low. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Checking the alignment of this knee so that hopefully it's coming, so it's tracking over the feet, but you see it's not going beyond the ankle. Whoop. Inhaling the hands up, staying nice and low, shoulders relaxed and back. Inhale. Let's exhale into the twist. So you're looking over your back shoulder, the left shoulder. Good. Inhaling up. Stretch tall and step forwards. Okay, we're feeling like we can do another couple of those. Step back with the left leg. Find your balance. Inhale the hands up. And this time we're going to do that sort of C shape. So my right hand is going to come back, pointing towards the back foot. Left hand is coming back into a sort of C as well. So it's almost like I'm grabbing a beach ball sort of behind me. Really twisting the spine here, opening up the left side of the torso. Okay, inhaling back up, step forwards. This time we're taking the right leg back. So let's do it nice and slowly, get our alignment right, drop down, inhale the hands back up, stretching, shoulders down and back, and then left hand comes back towards that back foot. Right hand comes back and over, and it's almost like you're catching this beach ball, looking over the left shoulder. Good. Inhale, bring the hands up and step yourself forwards. Good, right. Let's take some chair. We haven't done chair for all of, I don't know, 2 classes or something. So feet, I would suggest either parallel or toes together. Parallel's probably easier, just a hip width apart. And if you want to put a block or a rolled up blanket or something between the knees, you can do so. So with sitting back, bringing the hands forwards, seeing how that feels, shoulders relaxed in the back. So you can stick with this if you'd like, but if you want to bring the hands up, looking up towards the hands, stretching your hands forwards so that I don't have a bend in my elbows. That's really nice. Okay, bringing the hands back to Namaste. We're going to take a little bit of a twist, which is probably not easiest if you've got a block. So there's some options here. Sitting back, hands into Namaste. I'll mirror you. So right elbow over to left knee. Inhale and twist. So my knees are still parallel to each other. I haven't got my left or my right knee sticking out. I'm pushing my palms together and looking up over my left shoulder. Little twist. Okay, we're going to inhale back to the centre and then exhale to twist the other way, pushing the hands together, right knee coming back. Inhaling and exhaling. Good. Alright, inhale back up to the centre. So you can do that again, or if you want to take a little bit more of a balance, picking that left foot up and just having that somewhere where it's comfortable on your knee. And again, this may be enough, so we can take all these things in stages and stop at whatever point you would like. But if you want to take your left elbow inside, if you can get it, that foot, you twist like so. It's a really nice stretch on the back glute. Pushing those hands together if you can. Good. Inhaling back up, coming back into your chair, and then taking the other foot across. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate this too deep because I've got a little bit of a problem with this knee at the moment. So right elbow to left foot. I'm not going to go too deep with this. But what I'm demonstrating really is a willingness to try to get to the full posture, and it doesn't matter that we can't go fully into it. We're doing something that's safe for our body that isn't exacerbating an injury. Good. Inhaling back up and stretching nice and tall. Exhaling, hands down to the side. Okay, let's take a forward fold here. So rolling the shoulders first, a couple of times, front then to back. Inhale, tuck the chin and roll yourself down into a standing forward fold. Let's hold this here, inhaling and exhaling, gradually letting the head be pulled down by gravity, the hands hopefully getting closer to the floor, maybe getting your knuckles to the floor, your palms to the floor. You can have a micro bend in your knees if that is comfortable for you. Arguably, for those of us that have issues with the lower back, we should always be doing this with a slight bend in the knees. Alright, so let's take some twists here. So picking up the right hand, let's bring that right elbow up towards the sky, looking up to the elbow. And I like doing this in 2 stages because it's very easy for us to get the posture wrong. What's going on with your knees? They should be parallel to each other without the right knee sticking out. And then bring that right palm up and facing away from you. So the temptation here, if you've got your right hand up, it's for the left knee to come in. You want both the knees to stay pretty almost locked out. Okay, bringing that hand down, swapping the hands, checking those knees don't move, and taking that up and away. Good, dropping that hand down. Now, you can either put your fingers around your big toes, open the elbows out, and Bring your head towards the knees. So I suggest that we do this as stage one. If you're not there, just use a block and just do the standard forward fold. And then the next thing we'll do is put the hands under the feet so that your thumb joint is connecting with your big toe. It's quite a nice little feeling, that connection. And then we're pulling up with those hands. Head is coming down. So you've got quite a lot of tension going through the back. Trying to straighten these legs up. Inhaling and exhaling. This is part of the Sun Salutation B additional poses, this. Okay. Coming back up, we're going to just do some little breathing exercises into tabletop now, which we often do wide leg. We're going to do it in this parallel position here, hip position. So we'll inhale the hands up to the shins, looking forwards. So if I come to the side, you can see that I've got a nice flat back. So it's not hunched over like that. It's a flat back, and I'm doing that partly by sticking my bum out behind me and making sure that my collarbones are open as I'm looking up. So we inhale to this, and then we exhale back to the forward fold. Inhale to the tabletop. Exhale to the forward fold. Inhale to the tabletop. Exhale to the forward fold. And hang. Good, let's roll ourselves up, maybe bending the knees slightly as you go, just to protect the back. Taking it nice and easy because you've had your head underneath your heart, so in an inversion for quite a while. Good, let's do some wide leg work now. So we'll first start with Goddess. So the toes are pointing out to the corners of the mat, and just see how it feels to take the knees down, maybe wriggling your feet around so that you're tracking nicely. So what we're working on here is having a nice straight back rather than being forwards. Good. So let's settle down into it and come into Cactus Arms. Inhaling and exhaling. Perhaps closing the eyes if you've got the right balance. Really stretching out the chest here. Sinking down into your Goddess. That's all we're going to do. We're not going to raise the heels today. You'll be glad to know. Sinking maybe a little deeper. See how deep you can get. Bringing the hands down and straightening up the legs. Good. Taking the feet so that they're parallel. And we are going to hinge ourselves down. So hands at the top of the legs, inhale, exhale, hinging down so the hips are going back, head comes through tabletop. You may want to just hold it here for a moment. So it's a lovely stretch on the hamstrings, and then let the head come down, hands around the shins or the ankles, or if you prefer, on the ground in front of you. So we'll do another couple of twists here. So taking your right hand down sort of in front of your face really, and twisting the left hand up and away. So it should be a nice stretch on the right hip hamstring. Inhale, exhale yourself down, switching the hands around. Palm is facing away from you. Good, coming back down there. Walking the hands over towards the right leg, bringing the head towards that knee, inhaling, exhaling, slightly deeper stretch on that hamstring. And then taking the hands in front, bending that right knee, and stretching. So you're bending that right knee and you're coming with your weight, your chest over that knee, and hopefully being able to feel it in this inner thigh on the left hand side. So you may want to wriggle your weight around in order to feel that. I'm staying quite high today. I know we often do this in a balance, but I'm staying high because I really want to focus on getting this adductor stretched out. Good. Walking the hands across, and we'll go into the adductor stretch on the other side. Hold that for a few breaths. And then straighten that leg out and take the hands around the calf or around the ankle. Bring the head towards the sort of nose towards the knee and into a hamstring stretch on the left side. Good. Walking the hands back to the middle. Let's let the head hang a little bit lower, stretching out both those hamstrings. So we've done quite a lot of work on hamstring stretches now. We've done some work on the hip flexors. We've briefly explored the glutes. We've done some work on the adductors. So we're going to come into a glutes stretch next. So again, taking your hands to your hips. I'd suggest bending your knees slightly and drawing yourself up and coming to the back of your mat. So we're going to go into pigeon, lovely pigeon. Nick, and anyone else that struggles with pigeon when they're in the forwards position, Nick, this is the one where you sit in a chair and you're effectively in that position that we were in for the chair pose, but you're actually sitting on the chair or a stool and you're pushing this knee out. So you can do that, anyone else can do that with a chair, or if you'd like to join me in the standard pigeon, we're going to come down via a forward fold and a downward dog. So inhaling, looking in front of us, roll the hands down, fingertips on, and just walk yourself into a downward dog position, letting the heels come back. So we've done quite a lot of work stretching the hamstrings, so this dog is hopefully feeling a little bit more comfortable for you than the first dog of the day often does. We're going to do a little bit of just toing and froing before we get into pigeon. So taking the right leg back into a three-legged dog, really stretching that foot away from you, looking under your body so that you can see that that toe is going down, trying to get the left heels down. Alright, so we're going to swing that knee forwards as if we were going into pigeon, but then we're going to swing back. I haven't got quite enough room here. Swing forwards and back. Swing forwards and back, and this time we're holding it. Let's hold it into a hover, a little bit of a strength exercise now, and then let that knee come down. So the right knee behind the right wrist, left leg is going behind, back, nicely long behind us. You may find it helpful to put something underneath this right butt cheek, particularly if you normally do so. And it's just a glorious stretch in the right glutes. So you can stay high, or you can come onto your elbows, onto your forehead. I'm wriggling my left foot back a little bit, just to get myself into a slightly different alignment, wriggling my right foot up. The standard position for this is for your right shin to be parallel with the short edge of the mat, but I've seen some extraordinarily bendy yogis actually teach this with the right foot under the crotch. So you know, it's up to you where you want to go with this. The point is to get glute stretch in. So focus on the breath. Align yourself so that your hips are square with the mat. Hopefully feeling a glorious glute stretch here. So that's all we're going to do in pigeon today. We're not taking the bind, not doing anything fancy. Nice, simple class. Nice, safe class, hopefully. God, I feel like I could stay here for ages. It's such a nice stretch, isn't it? Okay, coming back up. We're going to go back via our downward dog. So into your, well, this is actually called half pigeon. You've got your sort of proud chest, which is like a pigeon chest. Tuck the toe under and lift the left leg. Alright, so your weight is now hopefully a little bit on that back foot, and you can start to pick up that right leg into your three-legged dog, stretching away, and then back into your downward dog, perhaps walking that out, and then the left foot pushes away from you into your three-legged dog, and then we'll swing that left knee forwards and back, forwards and back, forwards, and hold and hover. Few breaths. It's a sort of plank, isn't it? Then dropping that knee down, right leg going back, stretching out. So depending on how you feel, you might want to go down onto your elbows here. If your knee is hurting, as mine is, and you have a yoga strap handy, just show you a little trick. Some of you know this already. Just kind of roll that strap over on itself. You stick it inside the knee that is dodgy, which in this case is my left knee. And that's basically created a little bit more space in the knee joint, which means I can comfortably go down a little bit lower in this pose without the knee kicking off at me. If you know you've got a little bit of an injury, I've not had a problem with this knee for a long, long time, but it's been giving me grief in the last few weeks. You know, it doesn't help that I'm doing an awful lot of poses that, you know, a lot of yoga poses do involve the knee being quite tight. So I'm just trying to give it time to rest and recuperate by just being gentle with it in classes and not over pushing it. So using a strap in that way is good. I will be using straps quite a lot in these online classes. So if you don't have one, you can get them really cheaply on eBay, just like £3 or something. But a belt, you know, a canvas belt or a judo belt or a dressing gown belt will do the job. You could even use like a tea cloth or a scarf, but you know, one of these nice canvas yoga straps is really good, not least because they have a D-ring on them, and we can then use the D-ring for certainly one of the postures that I quite like to regularly use. Good, well we are at 10:30, so that's your hour up. Let's, we'll not close off quite as abruptly as that, but let's come back into our downward dog. So up onto your hands, picking the right knee up and letting that back leg go back into your three-legged dog if you have room, and then walking out. Let's just hold this dog for a few breaths. Inhaling and exhaling, hips nice and high, and dropping down onto your knees and then onto your back. So we will finish with a Shavasana. I'm going to stay cross-legged and seated because anyone wants to watch me lying in Shavasana. So getting yourself comfortable. It's good, even when you're at home, to just let the practice settle. Let your body recover from some of the stretches and things that you've been doing with it. And let your mind relax. There's quite a lot of concentration and focus in a yoga class. So either sitting cross-legged, breathing deeply, or lying on the back in Shavasana. You can obviously have your legs up the wall if that's comfortable for you. So put your bottom right next to the wall, and then put the legs up the wall. And you can bring your soles of your feet together into a sort of Baddha Konasana shape if you'd like. Legs at the wall is really nice. Again, it's another good thing if you're getting really stressed. Just lie with your legs up the wall for 20 minutes. Awesome practice. I used to do it a lot in my 20s when I had small children and they would dig my head in. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Counting that out breath, particularly trying to extend the out breath. yourself back into an awareness of the room you're in, you being on your mat, and an awareness of others that are joining in with this class, either live or later. Just if you know each other, so sending good vibes to each other. Bringing yourself into whatever positions you would like to do to stretch and wake yourself up again. I didn't want to come out of that. I was really feeling like a lovely meditative state. And you, of course, can just carry on doing that at home if you'd like. You can just turn me off and lie there, sit there. And making your way to a comfortable seated position. We'll close the class as we so often do. Let's bring the hands together, opening up, inhaling, stretching the hands back tall, and exhaling the hands back down to heart center. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling up, hands back down to heart center, bow the head towards the heart. And I will say namaste to you. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you. Saturday's class will be at 9:30 rather than 10 because we're all working from home and all the rest, and lovely to have you with me. Thank you so much, and keep safe and keep sane and keep breathing over the next few weeks. Speak soon.